Well, here we go. Kando Kiwi is on tour, all loaded, panniers, top box, dry bag, tank bag, crash bar bags, weighs a small ton, you know, but there's the setup. That's home for the next couple of weeks. Let's get it on the road. Let's go. So, destination. Actually, it's kind of destination sort of unknown. We've got a general direction, south, maybe to the Wairarapa. Napier Hastings is out of the question. South Island is kind of out of the question with the ferries all being out of action, breaking down with mechanical damages and bits and pieces and delays to people crossing. I don't want to get caught up in all that. So, these tyres will still be cold, got to watch it, got to wait on these tyres. So heading south, possibly end up sort of middle of the North Island today, of New Zealand of course, for those overseas. Now to go south I've got to go through Auckland. Auckland's kind of the bottleneck. From Northland to get to the middle of the North Island you can't avoid going through Auckland. You got to approach it either through the centre or out west, and out west is too much a detour, so it's down through the centre and over the bridge. So I'll catch you later when we hit the bridge. Well, here we go, we're into the city. As I mentioned earlier, it's a bit of a necessary evil to get yourself through this choke point of Auckland, and unfortunately from my place up north to go anywhere south, we got to go through Auckland, and there's two ways through, out west and over the harbour bridge. In this instance we're taking over the harbour bridge because it's slightly more direct to get to where the more reasonable riding is, well, more suited for relaxation without the stress of traffic. It's 11:30 Saturday morning, 22 degrees. I was a bit late getting away because the wife's car had a puncture, and guess who had to change it and take it to the tyre repair shop and put it back on. And on the plus side, I was home long enough to get a cooked breakfast this morning as a thank you for changing the tyre. So here we are now, heading south, going through the north shore of Auckland. Unsure what the traffic's going to be like. Should have calmed down a little from the morning rush hour. Yeah, I never find coming into Auckland enjoyable. It's always a little bit of a stress. Oh, a motorcycle cop looking out for speeders coming onto the motorway. During the week I'd never have to come down this far for work. This is beyond the region where I cover. I used to, but decided to change jobs and move away from all this stress and hassle. Look at this ahead of us. I'm going to have to start lane splitting. Panniers hanging out the side. It's never the best. Put the visor up and get a bit of airflow through. It gets a bit stuffy. Here we go. Just got to watch out for people changing lanes. They don't always indicate. they don't always know where they're going until they're going there. Then you get the occasional arrogant one, not this guy, but some that just don't seem to want to make any sort of gap for you. They believe two wheels aren't entitled to get past without sweating in the heat or overheating their motorcycles. They're sitting in their cages with air conditioning. Doesn't worry them, listening to their music and all that sort of thing. Oh, it's a bit tight. And through we go. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Not one for lane splitting or filtering, depending on what country you're in and what you call it, but some days you just don't want to sit in the heat. Not so bad today, slightly overcast weather. But when it's hot and stinky, last thing you want to be doing is sitting behind a car inhaling all their exhaust. It's best to get a bit of airflow going down the centre. Now I'm hoping just up here a little further it starts to flow again. It's a bit of a bottleneck up near these couple of on-ramps. And it should flow again, getting closer to the bridge. I do recall, however, they said they were going to do some maintenance on the bridge. I wonder if that started today. If that's the case, they've shut down a couple of lanes. And if they've shut down a couple of lanes, it'll be like this all the way down over the bridge and out the other side. But let's hope it's not. My TomTom's telling me the quickest way to go south is back where I just came from. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Mind you, it reads the traffic ahead. Maybe it knows something we don't. There's been the odd time I've doubted the TomTom and did my own thing and lived to regret it because it was the wrong choice. So we're flowing again now. Unfortunately, we won't have to see this traffic again for a good week and a half. Saturday today, coming back this way Wednesday week. Not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. That's about as far as the extent of my plans go. At some point I've got to catch up with a mate this coming weekend. We often ride together. Trouble is we live 400 kilometres apart, catch up a couple of times a year and ride. I got hold of him on the phone the other day and he says he's keen, but he's also going fishing, and depending on the weather whether he's fishing or riding, so I'm yet to see what's going on. But if we're riding, I told him to work out where we're going to go, so it's going to be a bit of a mystery. I'll be following him. Which is a good way to have a holiday. Not having any set plans. The only plan I had today was to get south of Auckland far enough to clear it and start afresh tomorrow, really. Anyway, Kapuna over there, that's one of the last suburbs before the bridge. Once we get over the bridge, I'll stop recording for a while because it's much like this all the way out the other side, 60 k's down to Drury, Bombay's, south of Auckland. Considering I've only got the one camera battery, I don't want to chew it all up on the motorway where it's not very interesting. Everyone's seen motorways, everyone's been to a city. Well, I'm assuming everyone's been to a city. Good, traffic's flowing. Maybe they haven't started the maintenance on the bridge yet. So there's Auckland City ahead of us. South, that's where we go, south. Trying to look at the view and watch the traffic at the same time. By the way, I've got the 360 lens on at the moment, so it doesn't really matter which way I look because I can edit it later and tell it where to look. That's the beauty of having the 360. I think we'll try and go over in the clip-on lanes on the edge. The original bridge is the centre, and then later, I'm not sure what year, they built the clip-on lanes out both sides. We'll jump on the edge of the clip-on, get a bit of a look over the edge. The water's nice and flat today in the harbour. Be a half reasonable day for sailing, I would imagine. Oh yeah, a few yachts out there. It is known as a city of sails. Flags aren't blowing too hard on the bridge. Be quite a nice day for sailing. So there's the original bridge in the centre, and I'm riding on the clip-on. During peak traffic, this bridge is chocker and fully laden. Auckland's got to find another solution for its north to south traffic. They're talking tunnels, talking other bridges, but more recently, of course, they're talking about reducing the number of cars. We all know the theory behind that. If we haven't heard the theory behind that by now, we must be living under a rock. Anyway, the marina. Manukau, Hamilton, right 2 lanes, we've got to go over. By the way, I'm kind of just thinking out loud, there's a bit of commentary, I know exactly where I've got to go. I'm assuming most people haven't been to Auckland though that are watching this. .80 speed limit. I've got to be careful, I've already sped past one cop today going the opposite direction. He did a double take looking at me. Mind you, I was on a passing lane trying to get past some traffic that I was getting frustrated with. A lot of traffic, you know, they do 20% slower than the speed limit, and then when they get to a passing lane they speed up to the speed limit. So you got to go over the speed limit to get past them, because you know what's going to happen once they get past the passing lane, they slow down again. Frustrating. And Murphy's Law, just as you're speeding up a passing lane, passing the car, a cop comes the other way and does a double take looking at you. Saving grace was he had traffic behind him and he couldn't do a sudden U-turn. anyway, that's the bridge. Now we're going through a couple of overpasses, under a couple of overpasses, and we'll head out south. I'll turn this camera off again and try and save the battery. Probably about another 50 k's till we get clear of the real traffic. I'll do a petrol stop before we get into the gravel road stuff, just to make sure I've got enough fuel. With all this luggage on, I hope the handle's alright, because I did notice going up my driveway, on my gravel driveway, that the front felt very light with all this weight hanging off the back. So I'm hoping that's not too much of a problem. I've ridden with a lot more weight than this on a course with my wife and her gear as well. The thing is, when the wife's on the back, you don't ride like I normally do when I'm by myself. By myself, I'm a little bit more swift, shall we say, and with this weight slinging around, I hope it doesn't cause me too much drama.